That is where we will draw the line. Ali Hazelwood, how dare you? Hi, my name is Ashley Kareen and welcome back to my channel. So this week was Ali Hazelwood's last chance. Last year, I read The Love Hypothesis and I loved it. It slapped. It was everything I wanted in a quick, fast-paced, kind of corny romance. 4 stars, easy. After that, she released 3 novellas and I thought, hey, perfect. More of that Ali Hazelwood goodness. I read Under One Roof, 3 stars, not a bad start. Then I read Stuck With You, 2 stars. Ooh, kind of dipped a little bit there, Ali, but that's okay. It's gonna happen. And then I read Below Zero, and a grown man compared breasts to the hills on Mars. So now I just kind of feel like Ali Hazelwood doesn't respect me. So this week we tried to turn that all around. We tried to mend the relationship between Hazelwood and I. And we read Love on the Brain. This is her most recent full-length story. And when I went into this, I went into it guessing that she was going to do the same thing that she always does. It was going to be about a woman in STEM who has her dream career in the science field, but is having a huge professional mountain that she has to climb. And just when all hope is lost, enter the love interest. He's gonna come in, and through the magic of his love and his penis, he's going to solve all of our main characters' problems. That was my estimation. And we're gonna find out together in the following video whether or not I was right. Before we start, very quickly, the Love on the Brain synopsis. I'm just gonna read this right from Goodreads because the publishers of Love on the Brain do not pay me to write synopses of their books. They can, but they don't. B lives by a simple code. What would Marie Curie do? All right, we're not gonna read the whole thing. We're gonna skip around here. So our main character's name is B, and NASA gives her the lead on a neuroengineering project, which is her dream come true. While she's working on this project, she has to work alongside Levi Ward, who is for some reason like her enemy. But when her equipment starts to go missing and the staff starts to ignore her, B could swear she sees Levi softening into an ally, backing her plays, seconding her ideas, and devouring her with those eyes. But when it comes time to actually make a move and put her heart on the line, there's only one question that matters. What will B do? So that's a little synopsis. We are going to see how Love on the Brain went, and we're gonna meet back at the end of the video to discuss what happened to me. Okay, so we just finished chapter 1. First impressions. It's Ali Hazelwood. Our main character, B, is no different. She's in love with her job. She has no space in her personal life for love or romance. And most importantly, she has an arch nemesis, Levi Ward, which is a name. So as we knew, this was going to be enemies to lovers. And I like enemies to lovers, honestly. It's not always realistic, but it's always fun. I'm tired of people starting relationships with mutual love and respect. I think treating the future mother of your children like you want her dead is the strong foundation of a long-lasting marriage. So while B is quirky and cute and has like pink hair, Levi Ward is all business, all serious, very introverted and broody. And if you were wondering, because you've read previous Ali Hazelwood books, yes, she only describes him as a brick house, a mountain, a Subaru. B thinks that like Levi hates her, based mostly on the fact that like he never makes eye contact with her. He tries to avoid her at all costs. He tells like one of the graduate professors that he like can't stand to work with her. And she thinks that's because Levi hates her. You and I, we've read these romance books before. We know where this is going. He's obsessed with her. Ali, I saw the way that Edward Cullen treated Bella. You ain't slick. I've seen this before. So yeah, first chapter. I pretty much got what I expected, but you know what? That's okay. I still feel like I'm gonna have fun. Like even if you kind of know where the vibe's going, if you're having fun, whatever. And I think we're gonna have fun. So we're about a quarter of the way through. We just wrapped up chapter 5. So our main character B gets this job at NASA in a position that's highly coveted in her field. She's going to be working on helmets for astronauts. She's going to cover like the neuroscience side, and then Levi, her op, is going to cover the engineering side. B gets to NASA and pretty much everything's going wrong. Like, Levi's not answering any of her emails. None of the equipment that she ordered is there yet. And she has her boss from back home breathing down her neck. And at this point, she thinks that the source of her downfall is Levi, that he's taken like a uniquely personal interest in destroying her. And I mean, if he's doing all the stuff that's been happening in the book, like, he wants to kill her. Like, you don't do this kind of stuff to somebody that you mildly hate. You do this kind of stuff to someone where you've like, okay, step 1, destroy her life. Step 2, 4 years from now, they find her in my freezer. But if we're expected to believe that they eventually fall in love, obviously he's not the person behind it. So thoughts on the book so far. So when I read Love Hypothesis, and I don't want to compare both of them too much because that's not fair to Allie, even though she does regurgitate the same exact stuff every single time. But I felt like there was like an instantaneous connection with me in the story. Like, even though the whole fake dating thing was a little dumb, it was so entertaining that I found myself like immediately absorbed. And that's not how I feel about this book at all. I don't feel any chemistry between B and Levi at this point because, I mean, the whole story thus far has been her trying to somewhat get to know him and him running away like she's holding a can of gasoline and a match. Levi has this thing where he's been like intensely trying to escape B since they've met, since he's even become aware of her existence. And I don't know why. I'm assuming that there's going to be some crazy ass reason for this. You know, like, I was so in love with you and I thought you belonged to somebody else. I couldn't even bear it, which would be insane. Listen, you're a grown man. You're a grown man. There's nobody that you can be in love with that much that you've never spoken to and had like an actual conversation with, that you have to run from her every time she steps into a room. Like, there's no reasonable explanation for that kind of behavior. Like, if I found out that a man who was frantically ignoring me for years and trying to escape my presence, my aura, and I found out that the truth was he was just really in love with me or thought I was very beautiful or whatever, that would give me the ick. I would never talk to you again. But I would sign the restraining order that you so desperately wanted from me. There's no spark. There's no reason for me to root for them to get to know each other or like each other, much less get to lovers. I really think it wouldn't be so dry if there was something between her and Levi for me to hang on to that makes me want to turn the page. Because with Love Hypothesis, I wanted to see Olive and Adam, are those their names? I wanted to see them together. And so I was turning page after page because I wanted to see them together. I wanted to see how this whole thing was going to play out. And I just don't have that here. The science aspect of the book, I can't talk to you about the merits of the science that she discusses. It all sounds very impressive to me, and I'm not about to fact check her. So if our neuroscientist B says in this book that in one of the compartments of our brain, Leonardo DiCaprio and his next near child bride have to salsa dance to fire up my neurons and make my legs move, I'm gonna sit here and be like, ah, yes, of course. At this point, we've read another 60 pages, so we're not quite at the halfway mark yet, but we're almost there. The NASA project lives on for now. And so B and Levi have been working on it together, slowly getting to know each other and kind of forming some type of like almost friendship thing. They've definitely had some cute moments, and they've definitely had like little snippets of banter that I thought were very adorable. But I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that this relationship is like lighting a fire within me. I'm not getting any sparks flying off the page. And I should tack on that that's as of yet, because we still have another, I think, like 150 pages to go. So, you know, Hazelwood might pull it together. But as of right now, I don't think that I'm at the spot where I need them to be together. I think they're meant to be together. I think that they're two cute people who, if they like cut the nonsense, then they can have something that's really nice. But if they don't ever end up getting to that point, like, I'm not going to lose sleep. There are like a few things that are still kind of annoying me. The first being like, Allie, I know that you have a niche for the partnerships that you have in your books. I've read, I think at this point I've read everything that she's written, but I get it. I get that he's big and I get that she's small. The reader gets it. Even if you didn't read anything else that she's written, you would get it. He's got the kind of thighs that could squash your head like a grape. I get it. I believe you. I don't need to read on every single page how he just fills up a room, how he's got redwoods for arms, how he's a mountain. I get it. And I get that Bee's small. She's small. Her head goes up to his belly button. It's very cute and a little strange, a little strange. Do I think that there may be something to unpack there? Yes. Aside from that, there's like a couple forms of miscommunication in this book. One we've talked about. Bee's convinced that Levi hates her based on his past behavior, things he's allegedly said, behaviors that she's perceived as like, oh my God, this man wants me dead. And then the other one I won't talk about. Let that be, I guess, like a surprise, a little razzle dazzle to your story experience if you decide to read this. But that whole idea that Levi hates Bee, or Bee believes that Levi hates her, like that works until they kind of build some type of friendly relationship because they're spending like a ton of time together. They have many conversations. They're starting to learn about each other a tiny bit. Like at some point in a natural relationship, if you believed that you were talking to somebody and building a rapport with somebody who you thought hated you, you're going to ask. You know, you're going to sit there and be like, so what's up? You're not going to just keep up this ruse that, oh, he hates me, but we're going to grab brunch after this. There's been so many times when Levi, like, Bee reiterates to Levi's face that, like, I know you hate me, but, and then it's either like Levi changes the subject or it's like on the tip of his tongue and he wants to explain himself, but then he decides not to, or they get interrupted. And it's like, that's not believable. So we're going to read a little bit more and we're going to hope that this picks up a little bit because I'm not really sold on this one yet, but we have time. Calm down. We have time. Wait, the streets are saying that space smells like rotten eggs. Is that true? Does space smell? I've never thought about that. I feel like I just thought that space would just smell like nothing, like water, but that doesn't even make sense because with all the various forms of matter and explosions and rocks, I don't know what goes on in space, but I guess rotten egg, like a sulfurous smell, also makes sense. It's also totally possible that she made that up. But like I said, what I read, face value. I like Levi and Bee together. Not like, it's still not earth-shattering to me, but there have been so many times that I'm reading them speaking to each other, little jabs they hit each other with, and I smile like an idiot. And I'm also starting to get a little more into the story. Like I thought I was just gonna maybe read 20 pages, 30 pages and then call it, but I feel like I'm gonna keep going because now some of the more like saucier plot bits have happened. So when I thought I was gonna just finish the chapter, then move about my business, Ali Hazelwood said, yo, oh my God. It all makes sense. Levi's behavior makes sense. Damn. Damn. Hi, so I'm in the middle of finishing these last 100 pages of Love on the Brain. And you know what's not my favorite trope? or is it even a trope, or is it just like a character trait? Ooh, girl. Is it just a character trait that a lot of Ali Hazelwood's characters have in common, where they meet this amazing guy and they do this thing where they don't believe, or they tell themselves that the guy would never be interested in starting up some type of relationship or getting to know them further on a romantic level. Even if you were B's friend, you'd obviously know that Levi's very much into her and is not just looking for like a friends with benefits arrangement. But then she's doing that whole thing where she's like, oh, I'm not going to tell him how I feel because it's so ridiculous that he might be interested in me. So I'm just going to go on and on about how one day a woman's going to make him so happy, but it's definitely not going to be me. And I'm like, girl, does everything that's happened in this book add up to that? Like, I know your science is good, but how's your math? I also want to say that at this point, we've found out why Levi had that very strong aversion to B for such a long time. And at first I was like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. I feel like Hazelwood gave us a solid enough reason. But now that I had a night to think on it, I kind of take that back. Because although the reason would make sense for the years that Levi was avoiding B, now that they've struck up a friendship and they've spent so much time together, like, I still stand by the fact that it would naturally come up in conversation. Like, I obviously won't say what it is, but with all the time that Levi and B spend together and all of the insistence on B's end that Levi tell her why he doesn't like her, it wouldn't make sense for Levi to sit on this reason for so long. So at this point, I have about 70 pages left. So I feel like I'm going to just finish this up and then we'll meet together in the end to just discuss how my like final thoughts on it, what I'm going to rate it, all the details. So, I ended up finishing Love on the Brain. Listen, there was a lot that I could have forgiven. Like, I could have forgiven the fact that she literally used essentially the same exact plot again. I could have forgiven the fact that while B and Levi's chemistry didn't like leap off the page, I still think that they had a lot of very cute moments. And I could have even forgiven the fact that the plot was so flat for so much of the story. Generally, the story just felt pretty dull. That I could have gotten over and given this a 3 stars because it wasn't terrible. It was no love hypothesis, but it was not terrible. That might have saved it. But when I get to the final 80 pages of this book, and it reads like the directors who make Lifetime movies had a gun to Ali Hazelwood's head as she was typing out that final act, that is where we will draw the line. Ali Hazelwood, how dare you? What was that? I have never... The ending turned into just the cheesiest, weakest thriller type ending that I have read in a romance book this far, and it just completely wiped out the respect that I had for the story. Don't get me wrong, like, my standards for romance are different than if I'm reading like Toni Morrison. Like, I'm not expecting the same experience, and I can accept that things are going to be corny. I even expect it, and sometimes I even want it. But this, no. I'm really tired of Ali Hazelwood doing the same exact thing. I understand that she cracked a code and she's got bills to pay. So yeah, Ali had her last chance and she blew it. I gave it 2 stars. Romance is on and poppin', honey. You gotta come with something a little extra. And I feel like there's so many other better romance books out there. So that being said, it's almost Halloween, so romance is dead. And so here on out, we're only gonna read about demons. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for following this journey. I hope you have a wonderful day and I will see you very soon. Bye.